All right. Every lecture that I do, I'm going to have a video of it, and I'm going to have a PDF of the notes that I took. So if you miss class, it's pretty easy to catch up. Let's see. I'm mostly going to go through D2L today, but I do want to start with a couple of things that I don't know. I think it's sort of related to COVID largely. Like everybody's sort of been out of the flow of normal things for a while. So I want to bring up a couple things before I start the syllabus that you need to be aware of in this class. So first of all, time expectations. If you Google like study time expectations for a college class in whatever wording you choose, the same answer is going to come up from a bunch of different universities, and one will be Harvard and some will be community colleges and but the answers are all basically the same. You need to expect to spend 2 to 3 hours outside of class for every hour inside a class. So think about, how much that is for a class like this. This is a 4-credit class. 3 of those credits are lecture. So let's say it's a 3-credit lecture class. So outside of class, you need to expect to spend 6 to 9 hours reading over your notes, working on the problems I assign, and stuff like that, okay? I think probably for me, my guess is that I'm sort of on the low side of that expectation. I think if you spent an hour a day, say 7 hours a week, working on this class outside of class time, you would be most likely in really good shape, But that's still a significant chunk of time that you need to be ready to put into this class. And if you don't have time in your schedule to put that amount of time into it, you're kind of setting yourself up for things not to go very well. Okay, so be aware of that. Hey, can you guys give me your names? Okay, Schwartz. Got it? Okay, Boston. Thank you. I know I saw that name. Oh, there it is. Okay, so about 7 hours a week outside of class. Hi, can you tell me your name? What? Okay, got it. It's possible that to do well in this class, you'd have to spend a little more time than that. But I think for most people who understand algebra and stuff pretty well, I think that's a pretty good guideline. But just be ready for that. And it might be a good idea to glance at your schedule, look at your work schedule, see when you're going to fit that time in. If you can't really find that time, or that time starts coming in sleeping, or other things, just be realistic with yourself about whether that's possible. Okay, I don't really need to say any more about that, but that's how much time this class is going to take. Then the second thing is, this is going to come up in the syllabus too, but what is working together and what is copying? So you're going to be turning in a bunch of assignments, and those assignments need to represent your understanding of the work. On most stuff, all of the stuff, like all of the assignments, I guess, on tests, you're sort of on your own, you can't work together on tests. But on the assignments, feel free to work with other people as much as you want to understand the material. But after you understand the material, you need to be able to go by yourself and write up the solutions to these problems, okay? You can't work on stuff together and as you're sitting there together, look at each other's papers and be writing down the stuff you're turning into me. That's when you get into that gray area of turning in stuff that is not representing your understanding of the material, okay? And it's usually pretty noticeable to me and really any instructor if you're turning in stuff that is very similar equation for equation to somebody else's, okay? So if it looks like you're turning in stuff that you did together or you looked at each other's papers as you turned it in, and I noticed that, then that to me is copying. So please be aware of that distinction. I've had people, last semester I had people who turned in stuff that was identical, and I talked to them about it, and they said, oh, well, you said we could work together on stuff. I love for you to work together on stuff. You just need to turn in stuff that you do on your own after you work together to understand the problem. Anybody have any questions about that distinction? Say it as you can work together to understand assignments but then you have to write up your solution without looking at anyone else's work. Okay, so go through the problems together. That's fine. Take notes. Make sure that you understand it. But then you need to go by yourself and do that problem, okay? And not just copy off of any notes that you took, okay? And then the other thing that comes up sometimes more and more often is using Chegg. You guys know that website? The website Chegg, it's like a studying website. I'm sure there are legitimate uses for it, but it gets to be a problem because you can submit questions to this website and their tutors, they call them, send you back solutions for them, And so like I have people, and every physics and math professor in here has people submit their questions to Chegg and then turn in for the class the answers that are given by the employees of Chegg. And that is cheating. It's usually pretty easy for me and other people to tell when that's going on, or at least see red flags that suggest that I would want to look into it more. Because if you're turning in solutions that are follow a very different flow than the way I talk about how to do problems in class. It just makes me think like, wow, what's that, you know? And so when that happens, I often just go to Chegg and enter in the question, and then it says like, yep, here's that question, and here's the solution our tutor gave for it. And then, you know, when it's a problem, somebody, like, I look at that solution and it's just like the one that someone turned in. Okay, that's cheating, and that can get you into bad trouble. So don't do that. What I would prefer to using Chegg at all is that you just come to my office hours, email me, talk to me for help when you need help, and just avoid that whole issue. But there are legitimate ways to use Chegg for sure, you know, but you can get by fine without using it. And I try to make myself available, so I'd suggest that. Can you tell me your name? Cecilia. Okay, so now let's go through the syllabus for the class. The syllabus and everything else that we're going to, all the materials you're going to need for this class are on D2L. So you've probably, almost all of you been on D2L before, but let me just show you how to get there. The website is new this semester. So go over here once you get on the Normandale webpage and go to current students. That's you, current students. Go to D2L, like you have to scroll down a little bit. Log in. It's a little clicky, but once you're in there, go to, so this is sections 21 and 22. You know, you're enrolled in one of these, not the other one. I'm going to just use 21 as an example. So go into this website, and that's Isaac Newton there looking at you. And when you first get in there, the first thing you see is the announcements. Anytime I put a new assignment or notes to a new lecture or anything up, I'll mention it in the announcements, so read that first. I get in the habit of going to the announcements once a day, you know, look for what's new on there. And then all of the materials, the files and stuff that you need are in content. And if you go to content, there are lecture notes from, I guess this is from COVID. You can look at the notes for lectures, topic by topic. You can also, let's see, I'll put links up for YouTube videos on these if you want to watch lecture videos, content, you know, by content. All the problems that you're going to be assigned daily are here. Eventually, like after this class today and after every class, I'll put up notes and lecture videos for this class. So if you miss something in class or miss the whole class because you have an appointment or something, you can always find it here. But for the syllabus, go to course information. And this is the syllabus for the class, and it has a lot of important information about the class. This is the lecture time. This is us right now. And then the labs depend on what section you're in. So if you're in section 21, your lab is Tuesday at 9:30, right exactly next door over here. And if you're section 22, it's Thursday at 9:30 in that same classroom. My name's Gaio Lakin. Please just call me Gaio. My PhD is in engineering, not physics, but there's a lot of overlap. My office is S2302. If you go to the stairs at the end of the hall, it's just right up at the top on the second floor at the top of the stairs. Mostly my office hours will not be here. They'll be in the tutoring center. But for the next couple days, I'm going to just do my office hours in my office, because anybody who wants to talk to me in the next couple days is just talking about like registration type stuff, since we're not really getting into new material yet. So for the next couple days, my office hours are going to be in my office. My email is this, and feel free to email me anytime you have questions, or if you want to, we can talk over Zoom or make a time in person to talk outside of my office hours, if that works better for you. So just get in touch with me by email. That works better than my phone. That is my office phone number, but email I get pretty much right away, and I'll get right back to you. My office hours are Monday and Thursday, so I do have office hours today. It says it's in the tutoring center, and this is where the tutoring center is. For today, from 12 to 1:20, come to my office instead if you want to talk. And like it says there, please feel free to email, and we can schedule times outside of that. The only materials you need for this class, you need a calculator. And it'll need to have sine and cosine, trigonometric functions. There's no required book for this class. These are a couple suggestions if you're looking for textbooks, but it won't really, I don't think these will help you at all in this class. The way to do well in this class is just to make sure you understand what I'm saying in lectures, and if you have trouble understanding something, come talk to me about it. I mean, I'm like in my lectures, I'm trying as clearly as I can to get you ready to answer the kind of questions that I'm going to ask you in homework and tests. So if you go to outside sources, I do think there's value in using multiple sources for learning stuff, but it's just not going to be the quickest way to get ready for the tests and assignments that I'm going to give you, you know. The only prerequisite is college algebra. If you haven't taken college algebra, please send me an email or come talk to me. Maybe it'd work out okay, because really what you need more than college algebra is you just need good familiarity with regular algebra. We're just going to be doing a lot of algebra, you know, but we should make sure that that'll work out. We should talk about it. The website for the class is D2L. And like I said, every assignment, everything is going to be available on D2L. So you should get in the habit of looking at that every day and seeing if there's something new. The lecture videos are going to be on YouTube, but I'll always put a link to each YouTube video in the D2L announcements. And then the topics to be covered, I think I'm not going to go through that right now. That isn't too meaningful yet, I don't think. But feel free, if you're interested, you know, go to the notes in the content section and skim through some of those topics, and you can see what this class will sort of be like, what the problems will be like. Okay, so now getting to the grading. The strictest the grades will be 92, 82, 70, 60 for the grade cutoffs. Sometimes I have to relax that a little bit if people's grades are a little lower or whatever. I know that some people, you know, people who are hoping to get an A in the class, sometimes get a little nervous about the 92. I just use that higher grade cutoff because in the past, that's just the way grades have fallen out. I think really you'll find that getting an A in this class is as easy as in any college physics class you'll find, I think. I think the higher grade cutoffs really more than anything just reflect the way that, the problems that I'm going to give you on assignments and in exams are going to be very similar to the things that I've done in class. The exams are going to be very similar to the things you've done in assignments. And so I think you'll just find that getting high scores on these things are easier than in a lot of classes. There'll never be a test where the class average is 60 or, you know what I mean? So it really reflects the structure of the class more than like trying to have a difficult grading scale or anything. That grade is going to be broken down this way. So there'll be lab exams, lecture quizzes, and daily assignments, and each one of those will be worth a total of 10% of your grade. I'll talk about all these in a little more detail below. And then the things that are more valuable are the weekly assignments and the exams. The in-class exams add up to the biggest chunk of your grade. Okay, so just one by one, I'm going to talk about each of these different categories. Lab exams that are worth 10% of your grade. This is a lab class. You have to come to, the main idea is you have to come to every lab. Even though the labs themselves don't count for your grade, I do take attendance at the labs, and if you miss too many labs, you can't pass the class. You're allowed to miss two labs without making them up. But if you miss a third lab, without making it up, then you can't pass the class. So you need to stay on top of that. And then the lab exams 3 times during the semester, we're just going to have, during the lab period, I'm going to give you a bunch of problems that are similar to the kind of things that you had to solve in the labs. And, each one of those is worth 3 1/3% of your grade. If you can't make it to a lab exam, we have to agree on something before the exam happens. Otherwise, I'm not doing any makeups. But, it's not each one is just worth 3% of your grade, so it's not a huge deal. But it's just my way of making sure that you're not only are you there for the labs, but you're going back periodically and looking back over your notes from the lab and looking back over the things that you had to solve, reminding yourself how to do it. Okay. If you can't make it to a lab exam in your lab period, but you can make it to the other one that week, feel free to just go to the other one. You don't have to tell me beforehand or whatever, but that always is fine. And that's true with, I guess we only have one lecture. So, so that's the only time that comes up this semester. But feel free to go to either lab exam if the other one works better. And these are the dates when the lab exams will be. So if you already have a detailed calendar, you can look right here and see if you can make it. And if not, let me know as soon as you can. One thing about all this stuff, the lab exams and everything else, is everything is cumulative. I want you to regularly be going back and not just studying the recent stuff, but going back to the beginning, skimming back over your notes, looking back over problems from the beginning. And so all of these things, even if we're on lab exam 3, stuff from the first lab of the semester and second lab of the semester, it's all fair game. Okay, so be sure that you're going back regularly, looking at your old notes, looking at your old problems. Okay. Then lecture quizzes. Most Wednesday classes, not every Wednesday class, but most of the time or half the time or something. I'm going to end the class with about a 10-minute quiz that I'll hand out. And it's just going to ask short answer questions about kind of the big ideas from lectures. And it's my way of just making sure that you're not just here and taking notes in class, but you're going back regularly and skimming through your old notes, reading through your old notes. Okay, so that's what that is. Like, you know, how, so physics is largely a class where you're going to be doing mathematical type problems. But, you know, like if this was a biology class, a bigger part of what you'd be doing in the class would be trying to remember stuff that the professor said in class. That's kind of what this is. It's like if this was a biology class, what do you remember about what I said here? You know, I try not to focus on like really minute details. I try to ask questions about what I consider to be the most important topics. But the way to get ready for these is to skim and to read your notes. So say, you know, the class is 16 weeks long. Say that there are 8 or so lecture quizzes. That means each lecture quiz is worth about a little over 1% of your grade. It's not a very big thing, but they add up to a full letter grade. The lowest 2 quiz scores are going to get dropped. So I'm not doing any makeups with these because if you miss one, then that 0 just gets dropped. Did you have a question?
If you watch the lectures online, how does that work? If you're not able to make it?
Yeah. Like on a day that there's a quiz or just?
Yeah. Didn't you say like every time there's a lecture that we would have a quiz after that?
Yeah, every Wednesday. I mean, maybe every other Wednesday. So if your plan is to regularly not be here and watch stuff on video, send me an email and maybe we can work something out. But the basic idea is you should just try to be here on Wednesdays. I will put something on D2L before the quizzes. So I guess if there's a Wednesday that I don't give a quiz, you'll know that ahead of time. But mostly you're just going to have to plan to be here on Wednesday unless we make outside arrangements. Okay. Any other questions about quizzes or lab exams? And next is daily assignments. After every class, not today because we're not going over any physics, but after today, after every class, I'm going to assign some number of problems for you to do. There are full solutions to all those problems posted. That's just there so if you get stuck, you know, you can go look on the solution and say, oh, here's what I wasn't getting, and then try to work on from there. It doesn't do any good for you to turn in daily assignment problems where you're just copying down my solutions. You could do that and you'd get full credit for, you know, that 10% of your grade, but it wouldn't help you learn the material and it would have a really bad effect on how you did on exams and on weekly assignments. Okay, so the idea with these daily assignments is that you try to do them without looking at the solutions. You use the solutions just to check your work afterwards, or if you get stuck, to give yourself like a little boost. These daily assignments are worth, so, you know, if there's 16 weeks in the class and we have three classes a week, that's 48 daily assignments, say, that I'm going to give you. And those all together, those 48 assignments add up to 10% of your grade. So these are worth a tiny, tiny amount of your grade. But I want you to turn them in. I'm not going to go through and grade them. I'm just going to check off whether you've done it or not. Basically, you either do it or you don't. You get a 1 or a 0 on an assignment, you know. But it's just my way of encouraging you to stay on schedule, get stuff in. And so you sort of know whether you're on track or not. Those are going to be turned in through D2L. So you can do your work on paper and then take a photo of it or make a PDF of it, scan it or whatever, and then just submit your picture or your PDF file to the assignment folder in D2L. I'm just like the lecture quizzes, I'll drop the 2 lowest daily assignment scores. So, you know, if there's 2 assignments that you don't get turned in, it doesn't show up on your grade at all. Okay, now getting into the 2 things that are bigger chunks of your grade. First is weekly assignments. You can think of these kind of as like, well, they're assignments where I'm not going to give you the solution, and I'm going to grade what you turn in carefully. I'm not, unlike the daily assignments, I'm not just going to check it off like you did it or you didn't do it. I'm going to go through every problem and give you a score on every problem. It gives you a better sense of how well you're understanding the material. There'll be, let's say, 5 to 8 of these assignments given throughout the semester, and those 5 to 8 assignments are going to add up to 30% of your grade. Okay. You can feel free to work with people on those assignments, but you have to turn in your own work. That's what I was talking about before. You can come ask me about those questions. I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but if you're stuck on something, I can give you little hints on how to get going or what to look at least what notes to look at. But, you know, mostly the idea of these is that you're showing me how well you understand the material. This is the one where Chegg really has become a problem occasionally. People turn in weekly assignments, and I look at them, and I know it's not the way I've taught the material in class. So I look on Chegg, and I see a solution that looks very similar to that solution, and that's a problem, you know. So don't get caught up in that. And don't, if you work together with another student, make sure that you write up your own solution to the problem. I will drop the one lowest weekly assignment score. So if you do badly on one weekly assignment, that doesn't affect your grade. And then the biggest chunk of your grade is the in-class exams. That's worth 40% of your grade. There are 4 total exams. So each exam is worth 10% of your grade. You can see that the dates are given here. If you do badly on one of those first 3 exams, there's a way to make that up. If you do better on exam 4 that's in the final period, I'll replace that score from your earlier exam with the better score from exam 4. So basically, like if you do well on exam 4, it can count as 2 of your exam scores. If you don't do well on it, it counts as 1 of your exam scores. That's kind of the basic idea. I'm not dropping any exam scores, but that's kind of the equivalent of giving you kind of a mulligan on one of those exams. One thing about the weekly assignments and the exams that you should keep in mind is I'm not grading them based on the final answer you give. So be sure that you're not just turning in like a final answer. The score I'm giving you on each one of these problems is based on how you're thinking about it. And so you need to show the mathematical steps for how you're getting through stuff. you could get 100% on a problem where the final answer is wrong if it just is because you made some dumb little math mistake, but all the steps are right. And on the other hand, if you turn in the right answer on a problem, but you don't show any steps, you'll barely get any points for it because I don't have any way to grade that. I don't know where that answer came from. Okay, so that's everything about how the grade is going to be done. I said before, labs, you have to come to labs. You can miss 2 labs without making them up, but you can't miss 3 labs without making them up. So if you once you get up to missing 2 labs or whatever, we should definitely talk about how to make sure that you're not getting an F in the class. Neither of us want that. Okay, any questions about the structure of the class or labs or any of the exams or anything like that? Okay, and then the last thing, I don't know, I've just brought this up more today than I usually do because last semester I had some issues with this, but I think for the most part, whether you know what cheating is, and don't do it and we'll all be happier. That's the bottom line. And general policies and comments. The main one is just be sure you get in the habit of checking D2L regularly. Everything is going to be available on D2L. And I think that's about all I have to say for today. So for the people in section 21, I'll see you in lab next door tomorrow. And for the people in section 22, we'll have another class before you have your lab. But all right, good luck this semester with everything. Talk to you soon. And like I said, feel free if you have any questions about enrollment or whatever, send me an email, or if you have questions about things you won't be able to get to, send me an email and we can figure things out. Yeah, bye.